Hello children, and welcome to today's collective worship. I'm going to share my screen with you, and we are going to start by saying, today is a special day. Let us all rejoice together. So I've changed the words slightly in that for our greeting today. And we'll try it again. And as you can see, Mrs. Robertson's going to say the top part, and you're going to say the bottom part. So today is a special day. Okay, fantastic. And as we look at the candle, we're thinking, I wonder what today's collective worship is going to be about. What are we thinking about today? And we are actually thinking about all these wonderful pictures. And there's a word in the middle of all of that, which hopefully you can all read. If you can't, don't worry. But there's a common theme in all of those pictures. I wonder if you can see what that is. Hopefully the word will help you work that out. And yes, of course, it is friendship. Every one of those children in those pictures is what you would describe as either a pair of friends or a group of friends. And that is hopefully what we see around our schools. Children that might have one friend, some children might have lots of friends. Doesn't matter. But we're thinking about this important word today. And this week, as part of our jigsaw thing, we're thinking about how to give and how to receive compliments. And for those of you that are not sure what those are, this story that we're going to share will help you understand. We'll talk a bit more about that in a minute. So first of all, I want you just to have a little think to yourself. I want you to think about a time that you might have had a special time with a friend. I wonder what that was. What made that time so special? Just have a quiet think to yourself. And then think to yourself, why did you enjoy it so much? What made it such a special time with your friend? Could be lots of reasons for that. And then think, what made that time so special? And it could be anything. It could be something that's happened at school. It might have been something that you did out of school. But just have a little think. Why was that so special? And why did your friend make it so special? And think, was I a good friend when we had that special time? And did I make my friend feel special? Really important to have a little quiet think about your friends. Now today, the story we're going to hear is about something called friendship tokens. Now some of you will know this story because you've heard it before, but we like to share this story every year because it's an important one and it helps us think about being a good friend. And the story talks about friendship tokens, which is something that are not actually real. They're imaginary, but we can give them and we can show people how we give them. And it's really important to let somebody know how you feel by either your face, by either a wave or a hand gesture. And at the moment, we are not allowed to touch and hug one another or hold hands because unfortunately we are dealing with COVID and we're trying to encourage you not to do that. But there are things that you can do which are really, really kind. And that might be a big smile. Can you all give a big smile? Look at the person next to you and give them a big, big smile. A smile brightens up everybody's day. And as we go through the story, we're going to talk maybe about some other friendship tokens you can give to one another. Now, once upon a time, there was a time when everybody in the world was friends, and everybody never upset a person, a member of their family, or anyone, and nobody said any mean things to each other either. The secret of this happy world was that everybody gave people friendship tokens. They were kind to each other. They wanted everybody to feel good, and they were kind to everyone. And because they gave away so many friendship tokens, they were always there for one another. And it was actually a very special world to live in. Now, these two children are called Rani and Leroy, and they were the happiest children in this happy world. They were the best of friends, and they always had been. Wherever they went, they would always cheer each other up. And sometimes they didn't always agree, but they always gave each other a friendship token, which meant they understood each other. And that helped them to not fall out. Now, one day, an old woman came into this happy world. She looked around at the happy faces of people, and her mean face grew even meaner. She felt differently from everybody else, and she was just miserable. She stopped being happy, and she tried to stop others from being happy too. She crept up to the first person she saw, and he was giving some friendship tokens to his neighbour. And that's because he was helping him work in his garden. She whispered in the man's ear, "Don't give any more of your friendship tokens away. The other man will keep on taking them from you. And eventually you will stop feeling happy. Why don't you just dig the garden yourself?" He went inside and he thought about what this old lady had said. And he thought, I'm going to go and tell my neighbour I'm not helping him anymore. Why should I help him? Now, wherever this old lady went, she whispered the same thing into everyone's ears. Stop helping people. You don't need to do that. Make them do their jobs themselves. Why should you keep giving out these friendship tokens? It's not right. You shouldn't do it. At last, the old woman came to where Rani and Leroy were playing. They were giving each other lots of friendship tokens. Rani was telling Leroy what a brilliant runner he was, and Leroy was telling Rani how amazing she was at swimming. They were paying each other some compliments. The old woman's face twisted with anger. She went up behind them and she actually whispered in Leroy's ear and said, "Don't give Rani any more friendship tokens. She wants them all so that you won't have any. You must keep them all for yourself." Leroy looked at Rani's happy face, but suddenly all he could see was greed. He thought that she was suddenly becoming very greedy. She gave him some friendship tokens, but he refused to take them. And he wouldn't listen to her anymore. He suddenly got very angry with her. His face was all miserable, like the old lady's. He said, "Go away from me, you thief. Stop taking all my friendship tokens." Rani was so hurt and upset, she didn't know what she'd done to upset him. And he said, go away from me." Eventually, the old woman turned round and said to Rani, "You have to forget all about your friend, Leroy, because he's just going to keep on taking and taking those tokens from you." And Rani thought, there's something not quite right here. And she suddenly thought to herself, this lady is actually trying to stop all my friendship with Leroy. And was that a good thing or was it a bad thing? And Rani thought, I think I can do something here. I think that I can actually help this old lady. And instead of her getting cross with the lady, she thought, I need to make this lady happy. And she actually turned round to the old lady and said, have you ever given a friendship token to anybody? And the old lady said, why would I ever want to do that? And Rani said to her, do you know it's the best feeling in the world when you are actually trying to be nice to somebody, trying to make them feel better? And the old lady's face didn't look like she was feeling better. And she said, how can I possibly make anybody feel better? Why would I want to do that? And Rani explained that she was from this happy world where people were kind to one another and where people paid each other compliments. And she didn't think that this was going to be possible because she was too old. She said, I'm too old to be part of this happy world. I can't give out friendship tokens now. And Rani turned round to her and said, yes, you can. It's never too late. Let's see if we can do something about it. So Rani and the old woman ran to Leroy's house. He was still very angry with Rani, and he still thought that she wanted to steal his friendship tokens. I'm never going to trust her again, he thought. But the old woman whispered and said to him, please calm down. Rani has spoken to me about your friendship. And I was just a mean, jealous person because I couldn't understand what your friendship tokens were all about. Leroy listened and thought, this lady has now changed and she looks happy. What's happened? Rani looked at Leroy and said, I've explained it all. We're good friends and we want to help this lady to be a good friend too. She can give out compliments and be just like us. And I've suggested to her that she should try giving some out. So this story does have a happy ending because these two children, between them, managed to help this old lady to become somebody that went from being a sad, miserable person to somebody who could smile again and could give out friendship tokens. And as for Rani and Leroy, they stayed friends for a very, very long time. Now, the old lady actually decided that she wanted to go across the whole world, telling people this wonderful experience she'd had. And she wanted to apologize for all the sadness and misery she'd caused people. So she carries on, and she still does now, trying to make things better, trying to tell everybody the importance of giving out these wonderful friendship tokens. So that's the story of Rani and Leroy and the very, very unhappy lady who ended up actually being somebody who turned into a happy person in this happy world. Now, wouldn't it be a wonderful place if we could all give out those friendship tokens and help one another to be very special friends? Now, I talked to you right at the very beginning about friendship tokens that we might like to give one another. And the first one was a big smile. Let's try that again. Turn to the person next to you and give them a big smile. Now, another friendship token we can give someone very easily without having to touch them is a wave. Can you turn to the person next to you and give them a big wave? Now, another friendship token we can do, and sometimes this just tells us how we feel about something, If we're talking to each other and you're trying to solve something, it might be, great, thank you. And you can give them a thumbs up. Can you try that? Give them a thumbs up. And sometimes we can make that even better and do 2 thumbs up. And that can tell somebody, great, I'm feeling really pleased about that decision we've made about our game. Fantastic. Now, another friendship token we can give is an actual wink. Can you do a wink? Try winking. Wink with one eye and then try winking with the other eye. Sometimes that can be a bit tricky, but try it again. Wink with one eye and then wink with another. Sometimes that's quite a nice friendship token to give. Now, there are lots and lots of other friendship tokens which you might like to have a think about, but not ones where we go up and grab people. We're not doing those at the moment, but just ones that actually are quite safe. And another one that we see some adults doing because they can't shake hands at the moment is touching elbows. And that's another way that you can greet somebody, by just gently touching their elbow, and it shows that you're saying hello to them. Now, some of these friendship tokens also include paying compliments, as I said at the beginning. And you might like to say to somebody, you look nice today. You look happy today. You might like to hold the door open for somebody. That makes someone feel really good. I know when children hold the door open for me, it makes me very proud when I see how polite they're being. You might like to do that for somebody. You might like to offer to carry someone's bag. If somebody's got a heavy bag and your bag is light, you might like to say, can I help you? There are also other things that you can do about trying to make somebody feel good. And that's about saying to people, you are a really good friend. Thank you for being my friend. Thank you for being there. Now, there's lots of things you can do as part of this theme this week. Some of it is about giving out friendship tokens. Some of it is about paying compliments. I wonder how many of you are going to give each other friendship tokens or lots of compliments. I'm going to look forward to coming around to each school next week and seeing how many you can give out. I wonder how many you can. Now, this is a really important quote just to finish our collective worship. And Ralph Waldo Emerson, who wrote this quote, which is, the only way to have a friend is to be one. You need to be a friend if you're going to have lots of friends, and that means looking out for one another. Now, Ralph Waldo Emerson was actually a famous poet, and he actually originated from the 19th century. So we're going back in time for this. And what we have to remember, when people write famous quotes like this, it helps us to really think about things. And I wonder if you can think, what do I have to do to be a good friend? I'm sure you've got lots and lots of answers, and I'm sorry I can't hear them, but maybe you can talk to the grown-up in your class about that. Now we're going to finish by putting our hands together, and we're just going to say a prayer. You can say it quietly to yourself, or you can close your eyes, listen to the prayer, or you can just put your hands together and look at the candle and listen. Loving God, bless my life with the gift of friendship. For those who have chosen to be my friends, I am grateful. Let our love, respect, and affection for each other flourish. Make me a good friend, one who is loyal and caring and ready to forgive. To you, who are our truest friend, I pray. Amen. Okay. So we've talked a lot about thinking about friendship, giving out friendship tokens. And I wonder when I come into each of the schools next week, who's going to be the first person to greet me with a friendship token? I can't wait. Thank you for listening today, children, and I shall look forward to seeing you all very soon. Thank you for listening, children. Bye-bye. Bye.